Let's see.
I don't have no eyelashes on today. No nothing.
And still pretty.
I ain't pretty, but
And still pretty as a
on
picture.
with it. Going on with it. Shit, this is 54. Yeah, I'm gonna make it.
All right. Now, 5, 4, 3, 2. You know what I forgot?
What?
To remind you. Did you get a joke?
Nah, I ain't got one. I think of one before we end though.
Okay. Well, we gonna jump straight into it. I enjoyed reading your article in 1819, but as I always say, there's always something that was not said or that the article didn't bring out, and I brought it to you to get it from the horse's mouth.
Oh, absolutely. First of all, thank you for doing that because you're correct. A lot of times you do interviews, and a lot of times you're doing these interviews though, but there's so many things that you've said, or they take you in mid sentence and they chop it up, and then your sentiments are either misunderstood, there's an overreaction, or it's just totally wrong. I would have to say with this article, and it's very interesting, with 1819 being the way they are, I'm not going to call them a friend to anybody, but I believe in the business that I'm in, whether it's a conservative media outlet or journalist. I believe that you still interview with them, you still talk with them, it's your choice, but also you're looking for them to also try to paint you in the worst light. And 1819 has done that at times. But I was very surprised by the return of this article, this interview, and how it was captured. But to answer your question, were there a few things that were not said? There were a few that I would have liked to have been said. And it went more along the lines of it's disappointing that we have local leadership. There's a lawsuit between the mayor that the mayor filed against the sheriff. Right now, we're in a crisis mode. Those types of things should not happen. I'm not here to debate who's right, who's wrong. I'm simply here to debate it's not good governance nor good government in a time such as this when so much crime is in and around the county and the city of Birmingham.
Now, if someone hasn't read the article, from your words, what's the crux of it?
Listen, the realization is we have a crime problem, not just the city of Birmingham. We have crime throughout the state of Alabama. I don't live throughout the state of Alabama. I live and I work within the city of Birmingham and Metro Birmingham. I'm in Jefferson County. Listen, the realization is the crime is out of control. It's getting worse and worse. If you notice, I didn't blame anyone for the crime in the article. I simply said that we as a collective, whether it be state leaders, whether it be local leaders, the mayor, whomever, the council president, we need to work together. What's going on and what is continuing to go on isn't working.
Mm.
You're having at this point now, we're almost at almost 20 people more this year than was killed this time last year. You have an issue with law enforcement officers, the number, the count. We're down almost 400 officers. So now you're down 400 officers. You have a police chief. People can blame the police chief. The realization is it the police chief? Because I haven't been able to frankly see what this police chief can do. Why? He hasn't been able to hire his own top brass. You're the police chief of a major city. You have to be able to hire your top brass. Why? Because then I can then say, well, the chief has gotten everything he wanted. He hired his own people. He said because of the plans that he can put in place based upon the group that he can assemble as his key team, we can bring down crime. Well, I can't judge him because of that. He hasn't hired his own top brass. I don't know too many municipalities that the mayor hires the deputy chiefs or assistant chiefs. You're not going to find that. That's a problem. The mayor of the city of Birmingham cannot be the police chief. That's not his role. And sometimes when you do that, the lines become so blurred in the level of control that is at play, nothing gets done. Then on the flip side of that, you have officers. You have officers that feel like the leadership doesn't care about them. Therefore, they don't have a vote of confidence in leadership. That's a problem. The officers feel that they're underpaid. That's a problem. So you have all of these things working together, coupled with the fact, because crime is so high now in the city of Birmingham, to the criminal mind, I know that I can drive through any neighborhood out of the 99, and I can be there for an hour, 2 hours, and not see one police officer. That's a problem. If anything catastrophic happens here in the state, in the city of Birmingham, we're going to have to call in the National Guard. They no longer have the power and force to get things done. So again, the article is not criticizing anyone, but I will say this as a criticism. With all of the crime that is going on in the city of Birmingham, what is most striking to me is that the mayor and the council coupled together passed for the last few years a budget that doesn't have a concrete, more advanced crime prevention package embedded in the budget. That budget should not be passed unless it is so. Next, the media. The media here. I don't have a problem with Randall Whitman. Randall, you don't need to tweet me. You don't need to talk about me. Don't take this as a criticism. As I've said to many, it is not personal for me. I've worked in city government. I worked for Mayor Richard Arrington Jr. You cannot tell me how city government works. Many of the projects you see that are built up around here were my projects because I had responsibility for capital projects as an assistant in the mayor's office for capital projects and development. So I'm familiar with how the budgetary process and the financing process works. Listen, I'm not knocking that. But what I will say to the mayor, and as well I was about to say about the media has given him a break. No other mayor in the last 4 out of the last 3 or 4 mayors has had this big a break when it deals with crime and all of the issues that now plague the city of Birmingham. It's not a criticism to him. I'm not talking about him. I respect the mayor. I met Randall when he first graduated out of law school. I handled indigent defense cases for the city of Birmingham out of municipal court and legal aid. That's not an issue. But also, I want to say, and the reason I'm saying that is because, listen, if you're an elected official and someone criticizes you and you can't take it, then you need to take a step back. It comes with the territory. That's the first thing Richard Arrington taught me when I went in his office. It's not personal. And never involve your parents, never involve your siblings, your wife, your mama, your brother in your politics. Why? It's a part of the course. It's part of the course. People are going to criticize you. People are not going to agree with you. People are going to always have something to say. But on the flip side of it with the media, listen, what goes for one goes for all. It goes for all. I worked for Arrington, Bell, and Kincaid. 3 mayors. 3 mayors. I had criticism of some of them. I think one of the worst things that Mayor Arrington could have done, as I now look at where we are numbers-wise as a city, was to allow a de-annexation of Centerpoint from Birmingham. Why? Now we need those numbers. Birmingham is no longer the most populated city in the state. Had we not lost Centerpoint, we would probably, even with the census and the turn of the census, would be. But back to the article. The article's meant to be reflective. Again, the state has a role in this. If we can't get it right locally, we're going to have to step in. You cannot continue to have bloody weekends the way we've had in the course of the past few months. Just can't.
I can't thank you enough. I believe in God's timing, and I love and I appreciate the fact that we were able to elaborate on that. But let's get to why I originally came in the first place.
Let's do it.
And that is, I wanted to know, you had made the comment, that there may be a possibility for a special session where the governor, where the legislature may be able to impact in some way this crime going on.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to know what ideas are out there, what's floating out there, what would that look like? And I know you don't know, but just, share a little
Listen,
bit.
I will share with you, listen, and this is now not just becoming an issue of a Republican filing a piece of legislation in that says if there's a municipality of a certain size, and there's an increase in such an increase in the crime that local officials can no longer maintain the level of crime that's going on, that either the attorney general or possibly there would be legislation that would pass that would allow either the sheriff or attorney general to take over. Listen, something's going to have to give. People cannot continue to die. The other thing on the flip side of that, we are now more members of the Jefferson County delegation that are in support. Red and blues, Democrats and Republicans, D's and R's, because we're now impacted in such that it's infecting, not just impacting, but it's infectious now because it's spreading, it's permeating. The crime is permeating. Last 2 weekends ago, you have someone would dare and come and shoot 4 people, kill them dead, wound about 13 or 14 others at a place, at an establishment, whether they had a license to operate or not, that was a stone's throw away from the Birmingham Police Department. So the legislation, and I threw out the sheriffs because some of us that are leaning towards supporting it, we're looking at maybe making some amendments to say that we'll support it, but maybe not if the attorney general gets involved, but we might look at how do we expand our sheriff's department. Maybe that will fall under the auspices and we create a different layer, allow those officers to come in, figure that out. We can get to that, but it shouldn't have to get to that. So there are some people who are calling for a special session. I received calls last week. I had a long, in-depth conversation with the Speaker of the House. He's now involved because he's getting calls from all over the country, Why? The Southern Leadership Conference of elected officials is going to be here next year. You got a lot going on. People are freaking afraid to come to the city of Birmingham. So why? Now they're going to call the speaker. They're calling. Is it safe? The crime is so high. News and World Reports last week named Birmingham the 3rd deadliest city in the country. So you have a lot of businesses, big business, corporate interests that are now involved. But most importantly, public safety is at issue. And again, this isn't about a Republican or a Democrat, or black or white. This is about the realization is that we have a duty to make sure that we keep the people and the citizens of our respective areas safe. Again, it's not personal, it's business. And if it's so out of control that you cannot reclaim it and bring it back, you got to put a plan in place to begin a new type of recruitment of officers in the city of Birmingham. You can't tell me something can't work. If Dallas can come down a few weeks ago, if I think Virginia and several other states came down and recruited your officers, come on, something's wrong with that. We can no longer say we're down almost 400 officers and do nothing. So now we got to figure out how do we tie back in the personnel board system. We have got to create an aggressive recruiting position posture here within the city of Birmingham. Get these people in here, and then nobody's going to tell me money doesn't work. Money is universal. It's a language that can be translated in anywhere in this country, even if you don't speak the King's English or language. So you mean to tell me we can't figure out how we can make some adjustments in this freaking budget? Cut out some big event for a while. We've eaten enough chicken. We've drank enough wine. We've done that for a while. We have people dying. We might need to take that $200,000 that we're going to put into this Let us put it in the budget to see if we can get an increase by $15,000, $20,000 in pay to keep our officers. I guarantee you, officers will stop retiring as early as 20 years and they would stay. But most importantly, with that, you got to respect your law enforcement. Law enforcement do not feel appreciated. Whenever there's a major issue, I don't care in any major city that you see, whether the officers are right or wrong, that will be determined by time. You take the necessary action, you put them on leave without pay, but you do not pass judgment or give the appearance thereof. Keyword, give the appearance thereof, because of you not saying certain things. But you say, listen, we're going to follow process. These officers that have called me, they stop me all the time because they know I'm going to say it like I mean it. I agree with them on some things, and certain things I do not. But I also say to them, even in that regard, we always walk away being on one accord. The only problem I had with Birmingham police, and they know it, I'm very honest. I came into city government as a student, Miles College, being under the tutelage of the late, great Dr. Abraham Woods and all of those great leaders, Reverend Eliza Jarrett, Dr. Porter, all these great men. Listen, these men were powerful because of the words that they spoke, but the position that they dared to take, even if it wasn't comfortable. So I'm saying that to say to my other officers out there, listen, when you have citizens saying that they love their law enforcement officers, but sometimes they don't know who law enforcement is versus the criminal. Appearance matters. Appearance matters. Listen, you can say it doesn't, but it does. That's a problem. How do we address it? Those things are easily corrected. You just got to do it. It's tough. So listen, I am pro law enforcement. The question was asked of me whether I believed in that notion of defunding the police. I said, hell no. Hell no. And whoever thought about that idea was absolutely idiotic in their processing. You need law enforcement. I love when I'm somewhere and I see law enforcement. I love when I get off a plane or I'm walking. Hey, I got some backup here. Like it or not, we need them. They're the first responders, law enforcement and the fire department and firemen and all of those people. And I love to see them in uniform. And there's not one that I meet. I don't say, hey, doesn't matter if you give me a ticket. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for putting your life on the line. Because at the end of the day, it's dangerous out here in these streets. People are killing people now because, just like with the 16-year-old boy in Tarrant, listen, went to get a soda, came back home, someone gunned him down on the way from the store because whatever went on, he looked at him a certain kind of way. Unacceptable.
Now, you've made it clear that you are not involved, but you always got your ear to the ground.
I do.
What's the latest with Birmingham Southern? Give us a little something.
I don't know. Listen, I took a position on Birmingham Southern a few weeks ago. The officials at Alabama A&M reached out to me day one. They kept me in the loop, very respectful in the process. I didn't have a problem with it. They shared their sentiments. If they asked me for my opinion, I gave them. The president of Miles College stopped by my office. Now, I represent the area. She came by my office as a result of having set up a meeting with all of the delegation. She said to me she was interested, and I said, hey, good thing. I'm a Miles College graduate. I've not spoken with her any further about Birmingham Southern. I, however, did reach out to the Vice President of Finance, Ms. Knighton. I have always been very close to her. I love her and I respect her. I will say the courtesies that were shown to me from Alabama A&M were not shown to me from Miles College, was not shown to me from the Miles College leadership, and that's their right. At the end of the day, I took a position, however, because I knew the numbers, because I had been in that process, the circles. I knew the ins and outs. I've sat down with young Boozer. I simply made a call and I said, listen, I am for Miles College, whatever they choose. But my sentiments regarding Alabama A&M is going to be different because I'm not an Alabama A&M graduate. I care about the success of both institutions, but I certainly care more about Miles College. The look of it now is, for me, it's simple. Again, if you ask me, I'm going to tell you the truth. Listen, you're dealing with a campus that was very much in debt. The notion, first of all, for someone to say, if Alabama A&M came to Birmingham, it would kill Miles College. No, it wouldn't. The people who are going to Miles College are applying to Miles College for a reason. The ones that were going to go to Miles College were going to Miles College anyway. The ones who will be able to go to Alabama A&M are going to go to Alabama A&M regardless. Build off what you have. Fix Miles College. So at the end of the day, for me, whatever goes on with Alabama and A&M, that's them. I don't want my college, a college that I graduated from, a college that I love, to go into a situation as a private institution, keyword, private institution. You're going to eventually inherit, although you may buy the note, you're going to then begin to inherit every issue that plagued Birmingham Southern with those buildings. You're going to also inherit not only all of the issues, you're going to try to buy the school whatever cost you put on there, on the table. But if you didn't put an extra 10 million somewhere in your plan to fix and remedy those problems and clear up the deferred maintenance starting out the chute, in 5 years, you won't be on that campus. In 5 years, you're going to be like Birmingham Southern. In 5 years, you're going to have someone to tell you no, because there's not an appetite anywhere to help Miles College in the State House, other than one or two that look like me. So I didn't want that for my school. Alabama A&M did something that Miles did not do even before they put the offer on the table. They sent a full, when I say full team, not just someone to look, not just their grounds person. They sent a full engineering team, a full architectural team, full environmental team, full everything. They surveyed that school inside and beyond out, not just looking at the numbers and being able to put a number. Anybody knows Alabama A&M can outbid Miles. There's no way that they cannot. They're the largest HBCU in the state. Their coffers are much larger, but the realization of the package they put on the table, it was a more realistic package. The question also becomes, what the hell are you going to pay Birmingham Southern one dime over what that school is now worth? They're closed, number one. We all know what the debt is. So anything over the debt, the question becomes, even if you put a small package together for severances to help with that, you're going to pay Birmingham Southern over what the debt is? That's not smart. And I don't care how many boards you have. I don't care who the president of Miles College is. I don't care who the vice president is. I don't care who it is. I have respect for the president. This is, again, not personal, but I'm an elected official. When I went out for Birmingham Southern to support Birmingham Southern, I did it because the people in that area asked me to do it. Not because I necessarily wanted to, but they gave me a mandate and they elect me to office. And I tried to explain that to some earlier on. Not that I don't love Miles, but I'm an elected official. That's in my legislative district. And all of those presidents said to me what they wanted and they expected of me. And that is what I did. So on the flip side of this, to just close this out, Miles can do whatever they want to do, but Miles better make sure. In this instance, if you've not met with young Boozer, you can do whatever you want to do listening to that bull crap that Daniel Coleman has given to you all. It's bull crap. The numbers, most of them he had initially put together himself. Listen, if Birmingham Southern couldn't sustain itself with all they had at that point, whether they had gone into the endowment or not, tell me how Miles is going to be able to do it. Tell me how Miles is going to come into the neighborhood and be good stewards of the neighborhood. The question becomes, Miles hadn't done anything in the neighborhood over there where they exist. So the question is, so you move on to campus now, then what? So, and then the question is on the flip side of that, it's going to say, well, you wouldn't expect the Alabama A&M to do any Oh, yes, I did. Oh, yes, I did. I said the same thing to them. Don't care how you find it now. I don't care about that, because that's what's wrong with our neighborhoods. We move into neighborhoods and you say, well, y'all didn't require that of the white people. Oh, yes, we did. And if we didn't, we should have. So I'm expecting whoever gets that campus to tell me what they're going to do with that corner right across from them, because you should be able to bring life and vitality into that neighborhood. I have said that when I worked in Richard Arrington's office. Any company that sat down with me and said they want to come and do business in Birmingham, okay, what are you going to do for the community? And I still believe that we should not execute one contract in the city of Birmingham, I don't care, or in the state, that someone is not leaving a bigger incentive on the table to leave a community or the people for which they are impacted better than where they are. And I would say that about Miles College. I support Miles College, but I do not want to see my institution in 5 years or 10 years in the shape that Birmingham Southern is in. That's a lot of campus to maintain. You're dealing with a community within a community. You got those apartments. You have all of those things. But if you're paying them X amount over what the price is, first of all, they're no longer a school. They're going to have to cut the lights off eventually. I would wait it out. I would wait it out because eventually they're going to have to sell that campus or file bankruptcy. And then a bankruptcy trustee steps in. So you're going to rush and put over 30 million or 25, 30 million on the table. And then lastly, to all of you enthusiasts out there, it should be common sense to say, if Alabama A&M backed off, they could have put the additional 15 million up. Sure, they could have. But they closed out with these words. You're looking at public dollars. That's not going to be a good use of, as a steward of public dollars and the look thereof. And something didn't click in the ticky time bomb, boom boom of the people at Miles College. I was at Miles when we almost lost our accreditation. I was one of the few 300 or 400 students that stayed, and I'm glad I did. So for me, I support Miles College. But I would like for them to look at this from a different perspective and then make their decision. Again, I've seen the numbers and I know the ins and outs of what has been going on for the last 5 or 10 years on that campus. And if you're not doing that, what happens to you in the end is on you. This isn't about the big major corporations that's backing you. Listen, you can change your curriculum. You can do all of that. This isn't about that. In the end, I'm concerned, and that's it.